Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Today is an amazing new comic book day. Super excited to tell you about what is going to be on the show. Man, I hope you guys saved up some money and got your phone set for speed dial to your local comic shop so you can tell them what you want, what you really want. I'll see you guys right back here in a second. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I see Corey is here. Who else is here? Barlord. All my friends. Always so excited to see you guys. There, like I said, really good books out this week, including some second prints of some cool things that you guys have been waiting for. Tie-ins to books that are previously like blown up. What else? I'm even reviewing a book that isn't really a new comic book day book, but I did have the person who helped create it in my shop on Saturday. So I'm going to review it because I had copies. So let's do this. All right. So this is what I was talking about. Last Spartan Red Tape, which maybe you have heard of and maybe you have never heard of. But I'm going to get you all filled in. So this is actually based on a novel. I can't remember who actually was the novelist who did this book originally, but it is a book that was picked up and made into a graphic novel written by very awesome person. You need Christopher Priest. Can't get much better than Chris Priest, right? Who is currently writing Vampirilla and has written a bunch of other awesome stuff that you should be reading or have read. And then Tyler Mane, who here's like the how you might have known him. He played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie and also in Wolverine Deadpool. He also played in Rob Zombie's films, Mike Myers character, Halloween. And also, he's a Canadian wrestler, and he looks exactly like the guy on the cover, which is not an accident. So this is a passion project of his. They are actually working on a second volume of this. He's looking for an awesome writer. So if you can think of an awesome writer, they need a really great one. Okay, so it's going to have to be awesome to meet the level of this book. So if you read the novel, you know what it's kind of about. This guy on the front cover, named Frank, is a member of a bike gang called the Last Spartans. And something really bad happens in the past. He gets their whole entire like motorcycle gang gets crossed and double crossed, and everyone seems to be killed except for him. And after that happens, he kind of like ends up in a big crash, and a family stops to help him, including a little girl. So that little girl continues to, because he has to go to jail because he is a bad guy. The little girl ends up still like sending him stuff while he's in jail and interacts with him. And that is a really, really nice thing, kind of like has it impacted his life, even though he's still, who he is. So the thing that gets this novel really started, because it gives you all that background at the beginning, is this cool like premise of him trying to have a normal life, but then the girl, who now is 16, disappears. And so I think he gets hired, maybe he just decides to do it, to go and try to figure out where she is. So he's going to find her. He owes her kind of in his own mind, right? But there's like really cool, a really cool kind of like undertone about the Spartan part of it, about omens and about oracles and that kind of stuff. That theme is like thick in this book. And then also, and the dove has symbolism that you'll get to see. And then the woman that is there on the right-hand side of the cover, that is actually an agent who has been assigned to follow him around. So great start. I read probably about half of the graphic novel, and I'm going to have to totally consume the rest of it. So this one wasn't one of those books that was made for release in comic book stores. They actually they did it themselves via Kickstarter. So there's a couple of ways you can get it. You can get it from me, which is an LCS. I've got autographed copies of it, or you can connect with them. It's a good thing to like follow, so you know when there's going to be a second volume. And that is my review of this book, which I quite like. I like it when people that previously like have no redeeming qualities or kind of like bad guys end up having some positive things in their life, even if it is kind of like retribution. Yes, Jay.
Before I get to the next book, just y'all real quick, in case you didn't see it, from about 2 years ago, I believe we had Tyler on with Ms.Jen for Talking Shop. So make sure you go back. I know it's a little old, but it's so interesting. And
I'm Tyler so young.
So cool. So young. Whatever. You're ageless, Ms.Jen. Come on.
You go back in time. I had forgotten that I was the person that got to interview him, because I knew we had, but I was like going, was it me or did someone else get to do it? So lovely gentleman. I did get to hang out with him on Saturday. I took him to barbecue after he was here, and his daughter and son-in-law were with him because she's from Austin, and since he was coming here into town, he's actually from Georgia. So it was really cool to get to kind of like meet somebody. Just like, it's another reinforcement of the fact that people are people. It doesn't matter how famous they are, the people are people. All right. Darkness versus, I'm going to say this wrong, Angelus. You guys help me. What do you think? Where's the accent here for this word? All right. So I read all of this stuff, these characters back in the 90s when they first appeared, right? So I'm used to regular Witchblade. I'm used to Nottingham as Darkness. I'm used to, I think that Angelus, all right, thank you, Corey. Angelus, I don't remember ever seeing those books, although I definitely, there was another one that was related to them that came out after Darkness that I definitely picked up, but now I can't remember the name of it. Okay, so this is 3 stories. This is really cool. So the first story is written by Matt Hawkins, which you probably know from his awesome work. He's the guy who wrote Postal, but he also does those kind of like spicy books, like Switch, and I can't remember the other one is. He has those also. He's got one coming too, which I'm excited for. But they are very spicy books. Don't leave them around. And one of them is by Mark Silvestri, the last one. And then the middle one, hold please, I can't remember who the middle one is. And this is a one-shot, by the way. You don't have to know anything about anything to enjoy this book, although it's kind of cool if you know a little bit about those characters. Ryan Caddy writes the middle one. And there's some really great line art in here. The first story is Pat Boutin, and so is the last story. And the line art in the middle one is Augustin Padilla. So you get to see a little bit of different art. But the stories actually connect to each other, even though it doesn't seem like 3 stories in a row that they are going to. But the first story appears to be kind of like an origin story for this main character, who is the Angelus. And then the middle tale, I remember there's one of them that actually has like it deals with like the original darkness and then like how the current one gets created. A little bit adult. A little bit adult. And then it's just really cool because you get to see like the person that becomes the Angelus main character here. She herself doesn't seem to come from a background of like regular religion, like from somewhere else, which is why I guess that when she gets imbued with this angel power, she gets the horns. But she's like the main, like she's more powerful than the rest of them, which is kind of cool. Like she can shoot them. And that means she has extra powers. That means that she is stronger than the darkness also. So just like Spawn universe kind of lives in that world between heaven and hell, and the characters that might be from there, but they're not straight up angels necessarily or straight demons kind of stuff. That's the way this world, the Witchblade darkness world, has always existed. So if you've always been thinking about doing it but hadn't really pulled the trigger yet, this one is a perfect like jump on point. The only thing it doesn't get into a whole bunch is the Witchblade, although she is in the book. And then it kind of like points you to the end of this book ties into the next darkness issue. So if you are reading them, it's a good place to get some extra story. Starfleet Academy Lost Contact. This one's a cool story that takes place wherein the handpicked some students from the Starfleet Academy, but also from the War College, which I didn't know existed. And of course, those guys seem like they probably have different goals, right? Probably Starfleet Academy is like exploration, and War College is probably just for the battle. They take some of these students and put them in a situation in which they believe that it is not real. Like, I don't know if they think it's holodeck or what. But they're like, there's like points you're going to get. We're going to grade you on your decision making with each other and individually. And there'll be somebody that has most points and gets like a commendation at the end of this exercise, right? So think a little bit like the Kobayashi Maru, maybe. But this is just on a planet. So they put them on a planet. And their first task is that they experience acid rain, and they spend a ton of time discussing whether the acid rain is real. So should they actually respond to it, or should they ignore it because they think it's fake part of the exercise? So you can already tell this group is going to have some trouble if they've already they don't understand the point of the exercise is that even if it is fake rain, they're supposed to act like it's real, or how are you going to get your points? Anyway. This is a good start for like everything goes wrong from the get-go. And the hook of the storyline is that they do lose contact with them. And pretty quickly, maybe these guys don't know it. The students might not know it. But like the academy people know pretty soon, right away, that there is a big problem, that there is stuff that is going on that they could not have anticipated, and so they don't have control over. And now they've got students that don't know whether things are for real or not. And they are actually experiencing some real things that are not part of the exercise. So it's a great book. Okay, Wonder Woman. This is told in a very interesting way. It's Tom King, so I know what I'm getting into when I read his stuff. But it is quite literally like storylines from 3 different points of view, but all running concurrently. More concurrent than sometimes he does, where it's like the top panel is a story, the middle panel is a story, the bottom panel is part of a different story. They're all different stories. This is like literally like 9 panel stuff that you might have to because of the characters that are in the panels, you know that they're being told from different points of view, timeline, different story parts. One of them is the woman who I guess becomes the matriarch. It's my only guess. She's got blonde hair. She looks exactly like her, but she's not wearing the makeup or the crown or anything. Who is now the big, I guess, bad, who has taken over the country. And she is doing an interview in the White House where you learn kind of an interview that her father, I guess, who once was in charge, who got killed, they're kind of like, she's saying that my dad was a great man and I'm glad to have been able to like continue his legacy. But in that part, she's definitely not the matriarch. And then there is Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl there breaking into some kind of facility on an island. And that's a whole storyline that has a really big twist at the very end of it, which like that wraps up in the last page of the book. So I don't want to mess it up for you. And then there's stuff that's in between where it has the matriarch having a discussion with, could be Darkseid. It keeps changing what the figure looks like between Darkseid and looks like maybe her dad. I don't know. But that's the coolness of the storytelling. Like, you got to read this book and tell me what you think is going on. And the twist at the end is super awesome. So I think this is a character that we previously thought was no longer around. So enjoy it. Lobo, man. Scotty Young. Just doing crazy Scotty Young stuff. Remember, Scotty's not drawing this. It's been drawn by somebody else who likes real dirty art. Lot of detail, lots of like the things going on at every page are kind of crazy. Lobo has found himself the star of a reality TV show in which he gets a complete costumed redesign in this book, which is hilarious. And then the book is mostly about the people that are running the show, kind of berating him for like, okay, you only get to use frags so many times in your show because, I don't know, sponsorship or whatever. And it's like they do want him to be full on Lobo because the other shows he's competing with are like Murder Something and whatever. So it's about him trying to figure out he's never going to be able to be like driven. Like, you can't tell Lobo what to do. He's just going to do whatever. No one tells Lobo when to say frag. That's it. That is the point of this book, pretty much. So, full warning, as a pre-spoiler, there is a page in this book in which, except for some strategically placed other objects, he is completely naked. Oh, my word. What are we even doing now? Okay. Deathstroke the Terminator. I am going to tell you, I love the first one. Tony Fleecy knows what he's totally doing. If you can remember, at the end of the first issue, his handler, I think his name is Wintergreen. I'm just going to say it because that's what comes in my brain, and it's probably right. At the end of the book, gets mortified. Plus, also, there's an attack on his family. He and his Deathstroke and his wife both are assassinate people. So they both know they're, doing dangerous stuff. But, yay! Billy Wintergreen, yay! So basically it happens because of both of their jobs, more specifically his. Bad people come and into his house, and also, his son gets killed. So he is in a place where everything's been stripped from him, his support system, and now his, he doesn't know if his wife is going to be really, really trying to hunt him down too. A Deschamps, very nice. So in this book, it's him dealing with that kind of like the aftermath of that, and him doing what you would want him to do is to get all murdery about going after the people that had anything to do with it. And what else can I tell you about this one? I think I'm going to leave it because there are two characters that show up on the last page. It should make you scream, yell, or whatever, because I'll tell you guys next week. They're truly characters that I used to get mixed up all the time. When you see them, you'll know what I mean. You'll know what I mean. But this one, yeah, of the 3 books that dropped all together for next level, the Lobo, the Deathstroke, and Batwoman. Deathstroke, the one I'm most like drawn to, mostly because I love a character that is dealing with stuff and doesn't necessarily have like all good intentions, but I like it when they take things away from them right at the beginning. Like I told you that last time, I was like, they told it all away. And then Batwoman. Danny's art in this one is even more like they've done it so minimalist in the way that it is done. Like they're masters at like making full pictures out of stuff that are just like, if you look at them, are just a bunch of lines thrown together. That's what art is, y'all. When you can do that kind of stuff, make a brain see something out of she's not holding a blender. Oh, that is what it looks like. I think it's a repelling gun. Yeah? I think so. I'm going to look at on my copy. I think it is. I think it's just a shooty up. Almost fell asleep running. Oh, no. You just beat. Okay. So, Batwoman. It's very interesting. So, it looks like she's tied to somehow an organization called the Daughters of Lilith, which is an ancient organization. Kind of makes me feel like maybe she's a little immortally. I don't know for sure about that. But it is really and truly them or someone attached coming after her. And just a bunch of brutal pages of battle. It is a lot of destruction in this one. No battling thing. You guys are so funny. Corey's making scrambled eggs or mashed potatoes. Both of those things are possible. So I don't know. It's great. It's great forward motion in this book. But yeah, it is one of those that if you don't like a battle, then you're going to be disappointed because there's a lot of fight. So much fight. Absolute Batman. Okay. I know that this cover kind of dropped really early as a spoiler, and I don't think that you're quite prepared for how much stuff goes on in this book. There is a new Bat vehicle, which is hilarious for the first however much time in this book. There's a discussion between Harley Quinn, who's kind of like doing tappity tap on the keyboard, trying to do stuff while he's doing his driving around this thing. And of course, Alfred's talking to him, and someone else is talking to him, and they keep on suggesting ideas for the name of this new vehicle, and he's like, hard pass. Hard pass. And then there are some pages that actually show the Scarecrow. That actually kind of leads out after that leads the storyline, in which you kind of understand how he works. It appears he can make it doesn't have any like in the sense where he used to like breathe gas on people and then they would see whatever he wanted them to see. It's not that obvious. It almost feels like it's more psychological with him, and that's really cool. And then you do not see the costume that is there on the left-hand side. I will pre-spoil it for you if you're looking for that to show up. That's not going to happen. But you do get to see what happens there in the middle. You could figure out what that is. Who those are, I'll say. Who those are. And then there is a major death in this book. There's a major death in this book. It has everything. You have first appearances, death, first appearances. So this is one to pick up because it's got a bunch of firsts and it's definitely got some cool covers. So don't miss it. It's all the good. Another silent issue for you guys. This is Zartan, so you know he's a shape changer. So this is him basically crossing and double crossing just about everybody, including the Cobra Commander there in the front. All in trying to get this, like, I don't know, it's some kind of weapony thing that you see on the first page and the last page. So this one is a no word book, which is part of the silent missions thing that they've been doing. I think they're working their way through every single character, which is fine by me. The one from last week, which was the Crimson Guard, I didn't follow as well as I wanted to be able to, but maybe it's a me thing. This one was much easier to follow the story about what was going on. So I like silent things. There's another surprise silent book this week, by the way. Not G.I. Joe, not related to G.I. Joe. We'll get there, though. Okay, Nectar. So I did not get to read Nectar number 1 because of its hotness. It disappeared right away, but since tomorrow is Nectar number 2, just in case you were thinking, do I want to jump into Nectar? Or is it one of those things that was like speculator driven and it wasn't a good book? That is not true in this case. Nectar is actually a really good book. There was a reason why it got, after it got so much acclaim. Before it released, I don't know how anyone could have known to jump in on it, except for it looks like a really cool cover. So Nectar is a very interesting storyline. It is about a town who experiences these butterflies that show up. They all are the same color, just like you see on the top there, but they're all a little bit different. And they have got like serrated edges on their proboscis. They're little. So they in the first issue you see that they look like sweet little butterflies. They will bite you with their proboscis, stab you, and then it does stuff to you. And in the case of the first book, one of the girls that gets bitten, she finds herself in the church, unable to stop dancing, which this happens, I guess, in a time period in which dancing in church was a bad thing. So the pastor is like, what are you doing? This is horrible. You're sinning against us. And they can't figure out how in the world to stop her. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I can't stop. I wish I could. She's like crying because she's trying to stop. And on the last page of the other book, you get to see there's somebody else that you see earlier in the book gets actually bit. And they run in through, like they come in, also experiencing crazy symptoms. These things definitely have been moving in big old gigantic, like almost like flocks, which is not the way normal butterflies that are just like, like they're doing their yearly movements, like the tongue action. Yeah, it's like super scary looking. Oh, dancing is really the devil. And I do like also like the kind of explanation, like I guess they actually talk about a little bit that I think it's a real thing. I think I actually read this about it. Like there was a town long ago where one person started dancing and they couldn't stop. And then like the whole town kind of succumbed to this crazy thing. And so they use that as a way to like think like there's a lore, right? Love bugs. We don't need love bugs. We need Kevin Bacon. So this is low-key a very scary book. Just replace like the birds from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds with butterflies, a little bit of psychological craziness, and that's what this series is, and it's really beautifully done. And I'm glad I got to finally get to read the books because I was worried that I wouldn't get to. Listen to Veroni Vault crossover of the decade. Footloose. Oh gosh. Oh, Veroni, that would be so awesome. I don't know how that would. We have to like write a whole new script now. All right, here's the other surprise. No word book. This is Monster and the Wolf. When last we saw, and the Monster and the Wolf in this case are Frankenstein's monster and the Wolfman. So when we last saw them, they had ended up weirdly in a very cold place. I don't know, the North Pole, wherever they are. So this one is this is the kind of long fight sequence I like when it's really pretty, when it's gorgeous like this. So this is one long fight sequence between them and these white snow ninjas that show up. And it's just really cool. And I don't think the baddie that shows up at the very end, I don't remember seeing him in the Monsters universe, but maybe he's been in it before. But yeah, this is 100% beautiful, and I love it. Keep them coming, Mark Spears. That cover is another lie that actually happens. Yes, Kyle. Nope. He just popped it in. He wasn't going to talk. All right.
Yeah, I'm just here to watch.
You're just here to watch? Okay. I'm glad to see you. I want to hydrate. Okay. I'm hoping that you guys have been able to find copies. I think they've been up to like first, second, maybe third printings already of Ordained by Bad Idea. That is property that's already in development. They've named who the developing company is, and they've done everything except for probably name who's going to be in the film, which is great. It is really about, as far as I can remember, it's been so long since I've read the original series. A guy who was a priest, but he wasn't always a priest. He was before someone of bad ill repute, and somehow finds himself the target of being killed because I don't know. They found him out, I guess. So you've been pulling this one. Yeah. Oh, Colin Farrell was cast. Ooh, yes, please. So if you've read any of the books so far, you've known that they've introduced this character called the Machine, who is himself a very, very, very dangerous assassin. And this book takes place before he goes after the priest, just as by way of getting to understand his thought process, his violence level, and where he draws the line. Like, he gets sent after somebody to do them in. He does them in, but it's in a bar. People show up that weren't supposed to show up. So, his decision about who of that group plus the bartender kind of stuff, who gets to be killed, is interesting. He has a little bit of code of something. I don't know. But yeah, he's going to be a lot of trouble for however good that the priest is that he's coming after. That's crazy town. And I'm a weirdo. I like the cover, the interior weight paper that they're using for Bad Idea books. It's kind of like newspaper weight. I don't know, the texture of it makes me crazy. I love it so much. I might be alone in this, but Eddie, what's up?
Popping in to say no, Miss Jen, you are not alone in that. The book just feels nice. Like, it's weird.
I know it's not supposed to, right? I think that our minds are supposed to say that newsprint is cheaper, but I know the newsprint actually costs more. It's bizarre, but it's true. Corey likes paper. And Megalith is also, this is the Megalith 0, so don't get too excited. Megalith you got to wait for a little bit longer. We just got through doing our FOC on Megalith. I will just talk a little bit about this book. It took 8 years to create. LaRosa just took his time, and all of the art is like the art that's here on the cover. Super detailed. The story is about a giant object that falls from space on a big city, destroys most of it. The big block that drops starts replicating itself to form a giant mech, right? And you're meant to believe that it's scary and dangerous for us, but it ends up being this thing that we need to save ourselves from a giant kaiju, which also shows up at some point. So I think he had lots of stuff going on, poor guy. No machine, no guys. So, and the other cool thing about Megalith that they're doing, and I'm usually a person that like goes, what in the world are you guys doing with, like when you make a billion covers? But because the art in Megalith is so gorgeous, they actually have made 30 covers that are just interior art. So the cover for all the different 30 pages of art, you can get as an actual variant cover. And if you buy all 30, then I think that there's a special, like, super rare negative cover you can get. But anyway, all the sketch covers, like 53, no, there's 30 of them. I did read Romeo and Juliet and Godzilla last night. I loved it so much, I ordered some more. It's the best. I missed that it was part of the Monster Piece Theater ones. But yeah, it's so gorgeous. And by the way, I will tell you guys, because you're super nice, I think Thursday, I think I can actually, maybe it's tomorrow. I will be able to tell you guys what special variant for this that I have got made. And it's probably the first time it's ever happened in comic books. I've done some research and I don't think anyone's ever done it before. I think it's the first time it's ever happened in comic books. So it will blow your mind. So anyway, this 0 issue isn't just a whatever for Megalith. It also has short bits of the other book that comes out this week, the Hab, and some ones for, hold on, let me see here, hold on. I want to make sure I tell you all the ones you can actually get a little bit of snippet for. So Megalith, the Hab, which you can read this week anyway, but it's nice to read some pages. Tony Millionaire's The Oddballs Odyssey, which is a weird name for a book, but it is so Tony Millionaire. If you've never read anything Tony Millionaire, you just got to see it. It's very unique in its style, just super fun art. And then it's got a little bit of Tankers versus Ancient Aliens. Now, Tankers actually came out as a series back in the days when you could only get one copy of every book. And that was cool. But now you can get another series, which I actually like the premise of the original one, in which they went back in time to try to like do something to change it so there were more dinosaurs to make more oil. But then the dinosaurs like trapped them there. I don't know. It was so hilarious. And then it also has a preview for, I'll show you this because it's actually, they've shown a picture of that before, of Warbird, which is about a guy who is a repo man, but only for super expensive stuff like, $10 million airplanes and that kind of stuff, in which he finds himself at odds with some bad guys he's supposed to go to repossess stuff from or for. And I started my own tagline: if it flies, floats, or drives, he can repossess it. So there you go.
And folks, another great reason to watch the FOC show, because the folks from Bad Idea have been on the FOC show quite a few times talking about these books, and all of them, I'm so excited for all of them. Megalith, just that artwork is so beautiful. Like, my goodness, I can't wait.
8 years, and you can see it. Okay, and the Hab. This one was pitched really well at Comics Pro to me, and I was like, okay, I'm down for it. So the book, having got to read it as opposed to the pitch, it was a good pitch. It was good representation of what I was getting into. But what it didn't tell me in the pitch was that essentially it's this like uber rich guy who has paid, like it's been decades that he's been working on this thing to make this underground facility in which there's like an entire level that's only for his family. And really the way it sounds is that it wasn't meant for like, hey, let's save humanity in case of something that goes bad. It's like just my family, and the only people that get to come are people that are support systems for my family. So it's like, okay. And the book is just like really dark in that it does bring to question whether this family like created the it's according to, you don't get to see it. So it could be like nothing has happened up there. Maybe he's just brought his family down there, but it looks like there's been the earth above them has been rendered unlivable. Actually, it does mention that one of them got to see like a nuclear bomb go off in New York. So that's probably bad. So there is, yeah. And then they're using as a water source a really, really deep, like natural water place. It's like where water has trickled down through all of this sedimentary rock or whatever. So it's very pure. But very quickly in the book, everything does get really dark. It's clear that the dad is very happy with medicating his children instead of like dealing with them. And that there's been like a lot, like there's something that happened in their past that is seeming to come back against them. There is something there's no physical things that we see quite yet, but there is something psychological that's messing up everybody that is in the facility. So yeah, it's when you take a plasma torch to the face, that's bad. That's pretty bad. So if you don't like melting faces, you won't like this book.
This is one of those that I would tell folks, you know, if I love my DC, I love my Marvel, I love my superheroes, but every once in a while, step out of your comfort zone, check something like this out, because just hearing them talk about it, I cannot wait to read this one either.
I'm telling you, I think every single pitch that I heard from them at Comics Pro is like they were smart, and they didn't sound or look like anything that was out there. It's like unique ideas. Whether they're bad ideas, I don't know. All right, Venom. We're in part 8 of 9 of this awesome death spiral. In the last issue, tie-in, Torment actually takes on, Eddie gives up Carnage to Torment because Eddie believes that, I don't know, Torment's more suited for it or whatever. But what you found a while ago is that Torment, his entire shtick is that he picks a family line and then starts killing everybody in the family line until he gets to the center of the spiral, in which he like kills the main people in the family. And in this case, it's going to be Peter Parker, right? You're not topping that page from last issue. Uh-huh. Yep, I understand this. This one actually does have some pretty more crazy things that happen in it. If you know, like we have quite a few symbiotes in play here. You've got the symbiote that is anti-Venom. You've got Venom, you know, Mary Jane. You got really cool Carnage that's now on Torment, which that makes everything super complex. You guys are going to like the twists and turns that happen in that regard. And it leads into a place where I don't know how they're going to finish this out. We got one more issue to finish it out. And I love, by the way, I love so much. There's like Aunt May and I can't remember who else. They're supposed to be killed in this issue, but I just love the way everything gets handled. Don't mess with old broads. That's all I got to say. We got life experience. And Ultimate Wolverine. This one does go and explain a little bit more about some of the early stuff, but where we've left it is that there's a big bad organization that has been kind of in charge of the manipulation of Wolverine, and he's been going through and doing away with all those characters. In the last issue, you had Magic Escape. And so this deals with him tracking her down and what all that means. But it does require some pretty dark magic because she is in a place where they have to like open it up by kind of like dark magic-y things. So just know that that's got a little bit of, I mean, Magic is already kind of a dark magic person, but yeah, there's a big death in this one. There's a pretty amazing, awesome, I like saw it happen. And then I was like, wait, that's not really what happens, right? That's not the way they're going to finish the book, right? There's more pages at the end of this. Nope. They have another story that's like tied into something else, but yeah, nope. They really do a really good finishing move in this one. So I'm excited about that for y'all. Okay. And graphic novel wise, there is Mad Cave's Temporal by Stephanie Williams, which I know a lot of people have been talking about this online, but you may not have been able to find copies of it. So this one's a really cool storyline. I'm going to read you kind of like the little synopsis here. It says, once upon a time, Savannah and Marcus were the most skilled temporal thieves in the business, slipping through history to acquire rare artifacts. That was before they settled down, had a son, and built a quiet life together. 10 years later, as their son Harper celebrates his birthday, Savannah questions whether suburban bliss is enough. When Harper's disappointment over a replica gaming console triggers memories of her former life, Savannah makes a decision that could jeopardize everything she and Marcus have built. Against her husband's knowledge and her best friend's warnings, Savannah steps back into the portal for one last job. Well, you know how that works. One last job. One last job's always bad. Also this week is Birds of Prey on the Run. On the Run, which puts together issues 20 through 28. Synopsis. I don't think that's just women. I've seen y'all's comic book collections. I've seen y'all's comic collections. Okay. Speed Racer. You get to finally get the first volume of David Pepos' awesome series, 0 through 5. Maria Lovett's super spicy series, Artificial. This is an interesting book that we ordered. This is from Maverick, which is a subdivision of, my brain just stopped. Mad Cave, I think. Yeah, Mad Cave. I didn't ask for this. It follows the members of Not Your Baby Anymore, a group of teens who share one thing in common. Their parents are social media influencers who have shared their entire lives online. The group forms a chosen family as each member struggles with how to break away from a life and fame that they didn't ask for or want. Now, I know I might be the pusher in this situation, TJ. All right, and I'm so excited for this. Like, if you guys didn't get to read any of the Never Wars, this is such a great storyline. It's like all the realms of Wonderland, Oz, and Neverland are torn apart by a big war. Think about all the characters in the normal, all of those universes as if they were absolute versions of themselves. So they're very different than what you're used to in the lore and the way they operate in their universes. This is really, really good. So if you're a fan of any of those things, Wonderland, Oz, or Neverland, you will like that. And it's an extra thick series. Also, The Kryptonian Age, Gotham by Gaslight, is going to be available this week. Green Lantern, The Starbreaker Supremacy, part of the All-In. Racer X, which was awesome. I even read some of this, and I'm not usually a Speed Racer kind of reader. We started ordering up a bunch of these because Booster Gold, man, what a great finishing move in DCKO. And if you like Westerns, the Hangman Never Loses. This is the DC finest with all of these cool Western books is also available this week. I'm sure there's a ton more stuff, but that is what I was able to read and have available for you guys. I thank you guys so much. Definitely right now is the time to take your list that you just wrote down and message your local comic shop if there's stuff that I showed you that you were like, oh heck, I need that now. And I do know that there are some hot variant covers this week. Please be kind to your local comic shop if they say, sorry, we don't have 29 of those for you. Just remember, always watch the Final Order Cutoff show we have on Fridays called Order Up, so you can actually not miss anything. We want to make sure that you guys get every single cover you want.
That's right. This Friday at 1 Eastern, noon Central, I'll be in the background running that show. Always a good time. So come by, say hi to me, check out the show, listen to Matthias. Up next, y'all, more Ms.Jen with tomorrow's Comics Tuesday. And I was wrong yesterday. I thought Kyle's Tuesday 10 was debuting tonight. It's not tonight. It's next week. But tomorrow at 9 Eastern, 8 Central is the debut of Blake's Buzz on the Experience. So
all right,
tune in for that.
If you guys haven't ever seen Blake's Buzz, whatever kind of high energy you think that I've got, I'm like a sleep snooze fest compared to Blake. He starts every show with lots of yelling. So make sure you have your sound turned down until you can figure out his volume. You think I'm excited about comic books? Blake is way more excited about it than I could ever think about it. So welcome to the family, Blake. We're super excited to have you. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I'm going to bid you adieu so I can get us all set up for the next round and see you guys in a little bit. Get those books. Bye, y'all.